Whoa, look at me busting out videos. All right, listen. We have some things to talk about, okay? Tonight there is a city council meeting, and they're going to be discussing a few things, including the swearing in of a zoning and planning board person. I don't know. Apparently it's John Donahue, who's also a part of Discover Tombstone. He's being paid by the city to do Discover Tombstone, from what I understand. I could be mistaken. Pretty sure that's what's happening. So just want to know what's happening there. And I did want to release some comments directly from your mayor about what he thinks about the call to the public and that kind of open forum where you get to address the city management. You're not going to like this. This is going to be bad. Yeah, so all you guys that are like, oh, Dusty's the best and he's the only one that can ever do the job. Like, I don't know how other mayors across the country are mayors, because we have the one mayor that can be mayor. Just, that's how silly you sound. Okay, we have a city council meeting tonight, and in the city council meeting there is going to be an open call to the public, and in the open call to the public it's an opportunity for you to reach out and discuss with your city management about the issues you have, the concerns you have, criticisms you have, and that's the purpose of the call to the public, because a lot of people have jobs and they don't have time to go to the office during office hours because they're at work or they can't call, so they're like, hey, I'm going to do this at this time, and just at least let them know this is what's going on. And if they had any kind of diligence, they might take my information and call me back to follow up with me, but that never happens. We barely get any communication from this mayor as it is, and from the city management as it is. You would think that with everything going on and people having to stay home or whatever, that that he would be a little bit more diligent in communicating with the public, especially now going into an election year. Like I've said before, the mayor of Bisbee, I don't like him very much, but at least he communicates with his constituents daily, updating them on city business and, of course, the COVID situation. So we're lucky if we get anything. Again, I'm going to give him credit where it's due. He did not mandate masks. That's great. Good job. Nice. That's good. He didn't mandate masks. According to azag.gov, open meeting law permits public bodies to allow members of the public to comment at meetings during a properly conducted open call to the public. At properly conducted open calls to the public, individual members of the public body may request that staff follow up on an item or that the item be placed on a future agenda. This rarely here, because they don't care about what you have to say unless it suits them personally. Okay. They may not dialogue with the presenter or collectively discuss, consider, or decide any item not listed on the agenda. So they can discuss if it's on the agenda. They cannot discuss if it's not. They usually choose not to discuss anything anyway, unless, again, it's something that they can answer quickly and doesn't make them look like shit. Public bodies may impose reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions on speakers. That's like time restrictions. But any content-based restrictions must be narrowly tailored to effectuate a compelling state interest. Pursuant to certain Arizona statutes, disruptive attendees of meetings may be removed to permit the public body to continue to conduct the public business. So I've seen people thrown out of meetings before because they've been disruptive, and rightfully so. So I don't blame the mayor for kicking out some people because they were like ignorant and ridiculous and they don't know how to use a microphone. Anyway, so now that we have that out of the way, the moment you've been waiting for.
To do this in an open forum like you guys did the other night, I think is ridiculous.
Well,
it's a waste of my time and it's a waste of your time.
Well, I'm sorry that
you're not going to,
okay.
Nothing's going to happen.
Okay.
You get up there and talk all you want to, but nothing is going to happen.
In the recording, he says, it's not going to change anything. Nothing's going to change. Doesn't do anything. It's a waste of his time. It's a waste of our time to get up there like we did and say what we said. It's a waste of time. Could you imagine that? This conversation that I played for you happened last year. It was a month and a half after the April 2019 city council meeting where like at least 40, 50 people showed up, which is huge for our city, because usually only like 2 or 3 people show up, and lately just about 10 or 15 because of COVID and whatever, right? In this city council meeting, not the one I just played for you, the city council meeting, that was around the time that a bunch of people in the city and visitors and locals were like, hey, we're really sick. They felt like they were being harassed by the Marshal's Department. And we have really great deputies, okay? And so it was clear that the city was using the Marshal's Department as revenuers, right? Instead of seeking revenue through places that are ready to sponsor us, right? Like in organizations that are ready to sponsor us, like car clubs and other events and organizations that want to come to Tombstone, and we keep denying them or dropping the ball on them, like we did for the Model T car club in February of 2019 when they came, and the city dropped the ball and didn't close the streets for these Model T cars. They were like, yeah, we're not doing this again. It's just something that keeps happening. Anyway, instead of seeking revenue in more appropriate ways, it was just really obvious, right? I mean, they were trying to justify their budget, which was almost $1 million at the time. It has now gone down to $500,000. They were just revenuing, right? And so we noticed, and we said, hey, this isn't cool. This isn't good for the city. It's not good for tourism. It's not good for, and when I say tourism, I don't mean just people coming from all over the world or all over the country to Tombstone. I mean people coming from like Tucson, from Sierra Vista, Bisbee, to just come and hang out in Tombstone. We can get a lot of revenue out of that time. So, but that was slowing down because of the revenuing that was happening from the Marshal's Department. The city mayor, he is basically acts as the commissioner of the Marshal's Department, since the head marshal is appointed by him. So it speaks to the leadership and not to the individual deputies, because I know a lot of people at the time are like, oh, you're just cop haters and you just hate cops. Shut up. No, I don't. No, I don't. It was never about that, okay? So anyway, we went, and then there was a petition was created, a petition was formed where over 200 people signed. Now, in order for a petition to be heard by the state or something like that, I forget what the rule is for the Attorney General, at least 10% of the population needs to sign it. So that means about 150 people need to sign it, because we don't have a whole lot of people here in Tombstone. But over 200 people signed it, right? So that was like a big deal. That's like saying something. It's like, maybe this is something we need to look at. And instead of addressing it that way, the mayor decided to, double down and no, nothing's going to change. Well, something did change, because we were persistent, and we kept going to the meetings, and we kept saying, hey, this isn't right. We kept filing complaints, valid complaints, even some open meeting laws. I mean, just letting them know, hey, we're here, we're going to keep you accountable, because it's our civic duty, okay? So people that are on the page, that are concerned citizens, that like to be like, if you have a business in town, you really shouldn't get involved in politics. It's not good for you. Well, fuck you. You know what? Because it is my business to keep these people accountable, because I have to pay revenue, I have to pay sales tax, I have to pay to keep this going. And why the fuck would I continue to invest in a city that doesn't want to grow? Honestly. So of course I'm going to get involved. And if you don't like it, then you don't get involved. And then you deal with the rules that suck. And then you can complain about it later. But I am doing something about it. And I'm not the only one. There's several hundred people that are on board with keeping them accountable. And we don't always agree. Some of these people like Dusty. Some of these people are Dusty supporters. But they agree that we need to hold the city accountable. Okay? We need to hold our public officials accountable. That is the purpose of having elections, right? They work for us. All right? So if somebody works for me and they're doing a shitty job, I gotta let them know. All right, so anyway, things did change, okay? He said, no, nothing's gonna change, but things did change because we kept on it, and by the fall, we saw there was a change in personnel. We saw that the Marshal's activity, as far as revenuing from locals and revenuing from our local tourists, was cooled off a lot. And then there was another change in personnel later on, I believe in the beginning of this year. And, you know, it's in a place now where I believe the marshals have achieved a little bit more public trust from the people that they serve. And there's a little bit more community policing. There's a little better feeling in the air, you know, it's good. When it comes to the marshals, we're grateful that they're here, and fuck anybody who says that I hate cops. You can eat it, really, seriously. Go fuck yourself. To be able to criticize the government and hold them accountable, it is our damn civic duty to do it, okay? So anyone who's like, oh, you're just a hater. No, I'm not just a hater. I'm not pointing out, oh, he cursed in public, all my feelings. I'm like, no, he actually violated open meeting laws. And those have been documented and sent to the Attorney General. I'm not making this up, and I did not file these complaints either, okay? But this is real shit, okay? That is happening, all right? The marshals thing, that was real shit that was happening. We said something about it, they did something about it. That's how this works. So I just want you to know what your mayor right now, who is looking for your vote for re-election, thinks about what you have to say about the concerns and criticisms that you have about the city leadership and about what is happening and what is not happening in the city. That is how he feels. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to change anything. Listen, I'm sure he's a fantastic father. I'm sure he's a great granddad. I'm sure he's a great husband. I heard he was an okay boss. But if we want to move forward in Tombstone, we need to take care of this. Guy's got to go. It's over. I'm sure he did great things for Tombstone in the past 22 years. Okay? But it's done. It's over now. We need someone who's going to move forward. Someone who's going to say, hey, let's not spend all of this time during city council meetings talking about permits and events and what we're going to approve for events and permits, because that's all we talk about is permits. And you're telling me for a $6.5 million budget, you're telling me the only thing we talk about at city council meetings is permits? When is all the other discussion about city business going on? Because if you look at all of the city council meetings, you will see a good portion of them, I'm not saying all of them, but a good portion of them are just about permits. Oh, permits, oh, permits, oh, this, that. Give me a friggin' break. What is really going on in there? They don't want you to know, and they certainly don't want to answer any of your questions. And when they do, they're going to do a lot of this, but they're not going to commit and they're not going to follow up. It's not about being right, it's about being informed. All right, what are you doing with this information? This is real information. So far, you have a candidate that talks shit to everyone on Facebook and then expects to win an election. That would be Sherry. Blocks people. She also blocks people and deletes them or whatever on Facebook, which if she becomes a public official, that would be illegal for her to do on her official pages. And then we have a mayor who says your input doesn't matter. Whatever you say, your criticism, your concerns, it's not going to change anything. It's not going to change anything. I mean, there was even a city water issue over by the Tombstone RV Park. And, well, I think you guys saw the paperwork on that, right? You saw the transcripts on that. It doesn't matter. He doesn't care. All he cares about is holding on to that power. And I hope he's not concerned about the stagecoaches, because personally I don't want to see the stagecoaches go anywhere. I like the stagecoaches. I think they're a great little addition to our little main street, to Allen Street. So I think it's important for tourism that our visitors see those stagecoaches. It's not about serving Tombstone. It's about power for this guy and for possibly this other candidate. It took weeks before the city budget meeting to get the budget paperwork, to get, you know, the actual budget, the draft of it. Weeks. It finally came out a week before the city budget was due to the state. Are you freaking kidding me? Is that what you call an efficient run city? I don't think so. This is not how you run a city. There are other municipalities who have had their city budgets out months before they were due. Why? Because they have public meetings on it so the public can put in their input, so they know exactly what's going into it, and they can say what they need to say and adjust what they need to adjust But we had ours a whole fucking week before it was due. Give me a break, people. Give me a break. Come on. Get real. Get real. Get real. There's really nothing you can say about it. What can you say to defend that? A week before it was due? This is acceptable to you? Come on. All right, listen. I love you all. Think about lovely things. Think about how lovely Tombstone can be. Go do something nice for your neighbor. Go volunteer to make food for the fire department, for the Arizona Rangers. Figure out who's in need in town and do something.